written in the desert sand and erased by the wind. Such are the uncertain origins of the story of the Jews in Portugal and in Trancoso. A story that is lost in time, and one that takes us to the Dead Sea, where it continues to be rewritten. Here, in the Qumran caves, hundreds of texts were recently found with the oldest version of the Hebrew Bible. And among these manuscripts, the book of Obadiah, the prophet who thousands of years ago wrote about the presence of the children of Israel in Sepharad, Sepharad being the Hebrew word for the Iberian Peninsula. But how then did the Jews come to settle in the area that is today Portugal? Historians argue that they traveled along with the Phoenicians, the main trading people traveling throughout the region of the Mediterranean Sea at that time. What is certain is that they did arrive here, and here they stayed and easily integrated in the main coastal towns side by side with the population, doing necessary work for the villages and towns. This was a period of harmony for the Jews throughout society, free to practice their customs, beliefs, and rituals. Until the Roman conquest of the Iberian Peninsula and the subsequent destruction of Jerusalem 70 years after Christ brought a large contingent of Hebrews to the peninsula. Many took refuge here, others because they were deported here. Sepharad became the main and most popular center for the Jewish diaspora, and with it, an increase in the scientific, cultural and economic development of the region. And when did the Jews arrive in Trancoso? Here too there are no clear dates, but it is estimated that the Jewish community here is ancient, even older than the independence of Portugal in the year 1128. The importance of the Sephardic Jews here was so great that in 1364 King Pedro I of Portugal granted them their own neighborhoods where they lived and developed their activities. And their activities were many. They were great local promoters, making this a thriving center, making the famed fair of Trancoso even more famous. They were artists, artisans and traders, but also illustrious figures in the arts, philosophy, medicine and literature. And the characteristics of these people of knowledge, entrepreneurs and scholars, were widely used by the crown during the great discoveries in the form of inventions and studies that gave rise to new discoveries. But this period of relative harmony was haunted by new events that tarnished the history of mankind. After thousands of Jews had taken refuge in Portugal to escape the anti-Semitism of the Catholic kings, right here, the Inquisition began with the persecution, torture, death, and dispossession of this entire community. And the subsequent exile led to the scattering of the community of Portuguese Jews throughout the world, creating the first synagogues in Asia, Brazil, and even New York. 1974 marked a new direction for the history of Portugal, with the fall of the dictatorial regime and the rising of shouts of freedom. Only then was the Jewish community, which had almost been totally eradicated, able to live all their ancestral beliefs, perpetuating in memory the times of intolerance and persecution, inquisition and forced conversions, prayers in secret and dual identity, hopes and fears that in Trancoso also bear testimony to the resistance of the faith.